Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to tackle something I think we all grapple with sometimes, right? That whole feeling of, well, conversational control. You actually asked us to explore this, specifically looking at some research focused on like a rapid shortcut, ways to sound not just correct, but, powerful and natural when you're speaking English.
Yeah, absolutely. And our mission here, it's pretty simple, really.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try and bypass the endless grammar drills for a moment. We've basically extracted 10 really strategic English phrases. Think of them almost like, well, conversational power-ups. We want you to walk away from this deep dive with actual tools that let you feel like you can, own pretty much any discussion you walk into.
Right. And the most surprising thing, for me at least, right off the bat, was what the analysis actually says about confidence itself. It really insists that conversational competence, it has almost nothing to do with achieving, like, perfect grammar.
Exactly. I mean, when you look at how communication really works day to day, even native speakers, they trip over words, they make mistakes all the time. What truly sets apart someone who sounds fluent and confident is, well, it's their energy, isn't it? Their clarity, the emotion they use to connect, this hesitation that really derails communication, not, dropping an article here or there.
That's the real pivot, isn't it? The core idea seems to be shifting focus entirely, like stop obsessing over linguistic perfection
Yeah.
and start prioritizing that connection with who you're talking to. It's about accepting mistakes happen, yeah. But just managing the flow of the conversation gracefully.
It's like building verbal scaffolding. That's how I think about it. If you know you have these specific structured phrases ready to go, you kind of stop worrying about the mechanics of the sentence you're trying to build.
Mm.
And you can focus purely on the idea you want to get across. These tools, they manage the conversational flow, they buy you that cognitive space to think, all while sounding totally in control.
Okay, let's jump into this toolkit then. Starting with the phrases that the research group's under, like the thoughtful speaker. These are the ones that apparently show intellectual honesty and tactically buy you some time.
Right.
Yeah.
Number one, that's a good question. Simple, right. But we've all been stumped. The genius move here is psychological. Instead of just going, I don't know, you instantly validate the person asking the question.
Ah, I see. That's super tactical. It immediately shifts the focus off your hesitation, doesn't it? Puts it back onto how good their question was. So you gain a bit of social capital and you buy yourself, 3-4 seconds to actually think? Yeah, try it. That's a good question. Let me just think how best to approach that. Yeah, you sound engaged, not lost.
Exactly. And following that same kind of strategy is number two. Could you please repeat that? Again, sounds basic, but when you say it with confidence, it asserts your need for clarity. It shows you're actually engaged enough to want precision rather than just nodding along or guessing.
Okay. And then for those moments when you've got a complex idea and maybe you feel you're losing your audience a bit, the research suggests using, let me put it this way, that phrase kind of signals to the listener, okay, I know that might have been a bit dense. I'm going to simplify this now to make sure we connect.
Yeah, it's a reset. And finally, in this first group, there's a phrase that maybe surprisingly boosts how intelligent people perceive you. Oh, haven't thought about that before. Just admitting something's new to you, it shows honesty, right?
Yeah.
Intellectual humility. It suggests you're a serious thinker, not just someone pretending to have all the answers.
Okay, I like that. It's a subtle signal that you're willing to actually learn and evolve your view.
Precisely.
Right, so that covers buying time and clarifying. Now, let's move to the trickier bit. How to engage positively, or maybe offer a different view without sounding, aggressive or rude. This is the toolkit for the engaged speaker.
Yeah, this is crucial. The first two here are really about smoothing the social waters. First up, I see what you mean. It just sounds friendly, thoughtful, and it acknowledges their input without you necessarily having to agree with their final point. Perfect for nuanced discussions, really.
Okay. And the kind of standard agreement tool, that makes sense. It feels completely natural, doesn't it?
Right.
And maybe a bit stronger than just saying yes. It implies you've actually processed the reasoning behind what they said.
Exactly. It shows you followed their logic. Now, for something called verbal hedging, this is pretty essential in professional settings, I'd say. If you need to state something, maybe a fact, but you're not absolutely 100% certain on the details, you can deploy, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait a second. If I'm not mistaken, doesn't that sound a little bit formal? Maybe too formal for just chatting with a coworker.
That's a really good point. And yeah, the research kind of touches on that nuance, that slight formality. It's actually deliberate. It acts as a diplomatic buffer. It keeps things polite because you're acknowledging you might be wrong, even while you're confidently putting your point out there.
Right.
And if you are wrong, it gives you an easy out, doesn't it? You just say, oh, okay, my mistake then. Thanks for clarifying. No loss of face.
Okay, I get the tactic now. It's
Yeah.
like calculated risk management for your words.
Okay.
And the key tool for disagreement. The analysis points to, actually, I'd suggest.
Yes. This one's brilliant for offering a counterpoint. The actually just softly pivots away from what was just said. And then I'd suggest frames your alternative as more of a collaborative idea, rather than a blunt, no, that's wrong. It keeps the harmony while still letting you state your view.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the final two phrases. These are the ones that signal, like, real ownership and control of the discussion. The leader-speaker toolkit.
Right. Number 9. Here's what I think. Just notice how simple and direct that is. It cuts right through any wishy-washy hesitation. It directly shows confidence when you're sharing your opinion. It avoids those softening phrases like, well, maybe I'm wrong, but, and just clearly states, this is my position.
Direct. I like it. And the 10th phrase, this one's key for controlling the conversation's flow. Anyway, moving on.
I've definitely noticed this. People who don't have strong transitions, conversations can just get derailed by tangents, waste so much time. Using this phrase, it signals you're fluent, you're comfortable, and you're actually in charge of where this conversation is heading. It's a subtle leadership cue, isn't it? Like saying, okay, done with that point, I'm guiding us forward now.
That's really the core insight for all 10 of these phrases. They aren't just vocabulary items. They are genuine tools for conversational control. They let you manage the input you get, the output you give, and those crucial transition points just seamlessly. Okay, so we've got the tools. Now we need to talk about deployment, right? How do we actually make using these phrases feel second nature? The source material had some really good scenarios for practicing this sort of verbal aikido.
Yeah, they're helpful. Let's run through a couple. Scenario 1. You're in a team meeting, and a colleague throws out a brand new, totally unexpected idea. Your gut reaction might be silence, or maybe defensiveness, because you haven't processed it.
Right. But the confident response using these tools is immediate positive engagement. Instead of just sitting there silently, you activate one of those time-buying phrases. You could say, that's a good question. I need a second just to process the implications of that before I jump in. Or if the idea actually clips right away, you affirm them strongly. You know what? That makes sense. I hadn't considered that angle, but I can see how that ties into our marketing plan. Either way, you immediately connect, you validate them, and you position yourself as thoughtful, not just reactive.
Exactly. Now, consider scenario 2. You're being questioned about something tricky, maybe by a boss, and you desperately need a moment to think. Silence here feels, well, it feels like uncertainty, doesn't it?
Yeah, deadly silence. So this is where you pivot with a control phrase. Instead of that classic, you use the scaffolding. That's a good question. Okay, let me put it this way. Based on the current data we have and maybe the projections, here's what I think we should probably prioritize for Q3. See, you acknowledge their question, you use that clarity phrase, let me put it this way, and then you assert your opinion powerfully with, here's what I think. You go from being caught off guard to actually driving the conversation.
Perfectly executed.
Yeah.
And the trickiest one, maybe. Scenario 3. You need to disagree politely with your manager or maybe a senior peer about a plan. This needs maximum diplomacy, right, to protect that relationship.
Yeah.
Starting with, no, that's wrong, or I disagree, well, that just shuts down collaboration instantly.
Okay, but using our tools, you can introduce your idea much more softly. You could start with that diplomatic buffer. You know, if I'm not mistaken, I think the report from last quarter showed a slight dip in those exact numbers. Actually, I'd suggest maybe we allocate fewer resources there for now and perhaps focus more on the northern region where we saw growth. So you gently introduce doubt with, if I'm not mistaken, without attacking the person. And then you offer a clear alternative using that, I'd suggest, frame.
Excellent. Yeah, practicing with scenarios like that really helps make these phrases automatic. But we also need to touch on the physical and the auditory side of confidence. The research highlighted 4 quick nonverbal tips that really boost the delivery of these phrases.
Right, yeah. This is important too. The first physical tip. Smile when you speak. Apparently, this isn't just about looking friendly. Physiologically, smiling actually changes the shape of your mouth and your throat slightly. It results in a tone that's, well, warmer, maybe a bit higher, more approachable. It counteracts that flat, tense sound nervous speakers sometimes have.
It's such a subtle tweak, but it makes a huge difference in perception. Okay, second tip, tackle self-awareness. Record your own voice.
Hmm.
I know. I know nobody likes hearing their own voice, right? But honestly, this is non-negotiable if you want to improve.
You just got to do it. It helps with pronunciation, definitely, but also tone and speed. You hear yourself more objectively. Often we think we sound fine, but maybe the listener hears us rushing or sounding monotone or using way too many filler words like or like. Recording shows you those gaps.
The third tip helps with rhythm and pacing. Just immerse yourself in conversational media. Listen to things like, well, like this deep dive or other podcasts, interviews. It's not just about picking up vocabulary. It's about hearing how fluent speakers naturally use these kinds of transition phrases where they pause for effect, how they emphasize keywords. You learn the actual music of the language.
Right, the natural rhythm. And the final tip kind of brings us full circle, reinforcing the whole main idea. Don't worry about mistakes. We really need to internalize this one. If you're communicating clearly, if you sound warm, if you're using these strategic control phrases, the occasional grammatical slip, honestly, it's practically invisible. Just focus entirely on the connection.
So yeah, that's where we land. True fluency, real confidence. It seems to come from calculated conversational strategy, not just memorizing grammar rules. Consistently practicing these 10 specific verbal control tools, that seems to be the key to sounding naturally confident every single day. They're the scaffolding, like we said, holding your thoughts up, making you sound like a leader, really, in any setting.
So keep these 10 phrases handy. Keep them ready to deploy. Use them intentionally, especially in those moments, those high-pressure ones where you need that extra second or you need to state your opinion diplomatically. They really are your shortcut to sounding like you belong in absolutely any room.
And this whole deep dive, it did raise an important kind of final question that emerged from the research for me. If non-native speakers are being explicitly taught to strategically use conversational control phrases like these to build confidence, what does that tell us about the unspoken rules? The tactics that native speakers just use instinctively, maybe without even realizing it. Think about the subtle social engineering that might be embedded in a phrase like, "That's a good question," the next time you hear someone use it. Just something to ponder. Keep learning, keep growing, and stay confident out there.